The smoke rose thick and black over the ruins of New Shanghai. Lieutenant Sarah Chen wiped the sweat from her forehead as she led her small team through the wreckage. The remains of the alien ship stretched before them, its silver hull torn open like a giant metal wound. "Team, sweep for survivors," Sarah ordered, adjusting her helmet's air filter. The acrid smell of burning metal still managed to seep through. "Remember, shoot only if threatened." The Archean corvette had crashed 3 hours ago, shot down by Earth's defense systems. Most of these ships carried at least 30 crew members, but so far, they had found only bodies. Sarah tried not to look too closely at them. Dead aliens or dead humans. Death was still death. Her boots crunched over broken glass as she entered what appeared to be the medical bay. Red emergency lights cast strange shadows on the walls. Medical equipment, so different from human designs, lay scattered across the floor. Some of it still hummed with power. A soft sound, barely louder than a whisper, caught her attention. Sarah raised her rifle, sweeping the beam of her tactical light across the room. There, behind an overturned examination table, an Archean lay trapped beneath a fallen support beam. Unlike the warrior caste Sarah usually encountered in battle, this one was smaller, with softer features. The alien's skin was pale blue, almost translucent, with delicate patterns that seemed to shimmer in the emergency lighting. Medical insignias decorated her torn uniform. The Archean's large, silver eyes fixed on Sarah. No hatred showed in them, only pain and fear. A dark purple liquid, Archean blood, pooled beneath the beam, crushing her lower body. "Please," the alien spoke in broken English. "Help, not warrior." Sarah's finger tensed on the trigger. Standing orders were clear. No prisoners. The Archeans had shown no mercy when they attacked Earth 6 months ago. Why should she show any now? But as she looked at the wounded alien, Sarah remembered why she had become a soldier in the first place. To protect people, not to kill them. And before the war, she had been training to become a doctor. Rodriguez, continue sweeping the ship," Sarah called into her radio. "I'll check this section alone." After making sure her team had moved on, Sarah slung her rifle and knelt beside the trapped Archean. "I'm going to help you," she said slowly, "but you have to stay quiet. Understand?" The alien nodded weakly. Up close, Sarah could see the name tag on her uniform. Zorave. Unlike the warrior-cased harsh, guttural names, this one sounded almost musical. Using her powered armor's enhanced strength, Sarah carefully lifted the beam. Zorave crawled free, whimpering softly. The damage was severe. Crushed legs, internal bleeding visible through the translucent skin, but nothing that looked immediately fatal with proper treatment. "Why?" "Help?" Zorave asked, her voice barely a whisper. Sarah pulled out her medical kit. "Because it's the right thing to do." She began treating the worst injuries, applying pressure bandages to stop the bleeding. "I'm Sarah Chen." Suddenly, Zorave's hand touched Sarah's forehead. A gentle warmth spread through Sarah's mind, and somehow she knew the alien was sharing her thoughts. Gratitude, fear, and relief flowed between them. "Must hide," Zorave communicated, both through broken English and the mental link. "Others will kill." Sarah nodded. She couldn't take Zorave to a military hospital. They would either kill her or worse, turn her into a test subject. But she knew of an abandoned civilian medical center nearby. "I'll keep you safe," Sarah promised, preparing to move the injured alien. As she looked into Zorave's silver eyes, she felt something shift inside her. This war had taken so much from everyone. Maybe saving this one life could be the start of something different. Sarah didn't know it then, but this moment would change not only her life, but the course of the war itself. Sometimes the greatest acts of courage aren't the ones that win battles, but the ones that dare to show mercy to those we're told to hate. The abandoned hospital stood like a ghost in the night, its windows dark and empty. Sarah half-carried, half-dragged Zorave through the back entrance, careful to avoid the military patrols that regularly swept the area. The alien medic was light, much lighter than a human her size would be. But even so, Sarah's arms ached from the effort. "Almost there," Sarah whispered, though she wasn't sure if Zareve could still hear her. The alien had slipped in and out of consciousness during their journey through the city's ruins. The emergency generator still worked on the third floor, which was why Sarah had chosen this place. She had discovered it 2 weeks ago during a routine patrol and had kept it secret, somehow knowing she might need it someday. Sarah laid Zareve on an examination table and turned on the battery-powered lights. In the harsh fluorescent glow, the alien's wounds looked even worse. The purple blood had soaked through the temporary bandages. "Stay with me," Sarah said, quickly gathering medical supplies. Her hands shook as she prepared an IV line. Would human medicines even work on an Arxian? She had to try. Suddenly, Zareve's hand shot out and grabbed Sarah's wrist. The alien's silver eyes opened wide. "No, human medicine," she managed to say. Then, to Sarah's surprise, Zareve's other hand pointed to her own medical bag, which Sarah had grabbed from the crash site. Sarah opened the bag and found several vials filled with glowing blue liquid. Zareve nodded weakly when she held them up. Through their strange mental connection, Sarah felt a flutter of instructions: how to mix the medicines, where to inject them. As Sarah worked, following the alien's guidance, Zareve began to speak. Her English was broken, but the mental images she shared made her meaning clear. "Forced to fight," she explained. "Medical corps, no choice. They take empaths for war." Sarah understood. The Arxian military had conscripted their healing caste, using their natural empathic abilities not to heal, but to find wounded soldiers who could still fight. It was a perversion of everything Zareve had trained for. "How did you learn English?" Sarah asked, trying to keep Zareve talking as she treated her wounds. A series of images flowed into Sarah's mind. Zareve studying human culture in secret, fascinated by Earth's languages and arts. She had never believed the military's propaganda about humans being savage creatures who needed to be conquered. Suddenly, Sarah's radio crackled to life. "Lieutenant Chen, report your position. You've missed 2 check-ins." Sarah's heart raced. She had completely lost track of time. "This is Chen," she responded, trying to keep her voice steady. "Had to take a detour through Section 7. Heavy debris blocked my primary route. Heading back to base now." There was a pause. "Understood. But command wants you back ASAP. Some interesting readings from that crashed ship. They think an officer might have survived." "Copy that. Chen out." Sarah switched off her radio and looked at Zareve, who was watching her with those mysterious silver eyes. "You risk much," Zareve said softly. "Why?" Sarah sat down beside the examination table, suddenly tired. "Because I became a soldier to protect people. All people, even if they're supposed to be my enemies." Through their mental link, Sarah felt a warm wave of gratitude, but also worry. Zareve was concerned about what would happen to Sarah if they were discovered. "Don't worry about me," Sarah said, checking the alien's bandages. "We need to focus on getting you healed. Then we'll figure something out." As if in response, Zareve's hand found Sarah's, and a new sensation flowed between them. It wasn't just gratitude this time, but something deeper. A connection neither of them had expected to find in the midst of this terrible war. Outside, the sun was rising over the ruined city. Sarah knew she should return to base, file her report, maintain her cover. But as she looked at Zareve, she realized she had already crossed a line. There was no going back now. Only forward, into unknown territory, with an alien who was quickly becoming much more than just an enemy in need of help. Over the next few days, Sarah developed a routine. She would complete her military duties during the day, then sneak away to the hospital at night to care for Zareve. The alien was healing quickly thanks to her own medical supplies, but she was still too weak to move far. Tonight, Sarah brought something special: Real food to replace the emergency rations. She had managed to get some fruit from the base's greenhouse. As she entered the hospital room, she found Zerave sitting up, her silver eyes glowing softly in the dim light. "You should be resting," Sarah said, putting down her bag. Zerave smiled, an expression she had learned from watching Sarah. Strong enough to sit now. Her English was improving daily. She pointed to her head. "Share something important." Sarah pulled up a chair and sat down. Over the past few days, she had grown used to the strange warmth of their mental connection. But this time felt different, more intense. Suddenly, Sarah wasn't in the hospital anymore. She was standing in a beautiful city with crystal spires that reached into purple skies. Arxian children played in parks filled with glowing plants. This was Zerave's homeworld. Before war, Zerave's voice echoed in her mind. My people, peaceful, healers, builders, artists. The scene changed. Sarah watched as warships descended from the sky. Military leaders seized control, forcing the peaceful Arxians to join their army. Those who refused disappeared. They lie to us, Zerave continued, her mental voice growing stronger. Tell us humans are monsters. Say Earth will attack us if we don't attack first. But all lies. The vision faded, and Sarah found herself back in the hospital room. She wiped tears from her eyes. Your people didn't want this war. Most don't know truth, Zerave explained, her hand still touching Sarah's. Military leaders control all news, all information. Use empaths like me to find soldiers. Heal only those who can still fight. Sarah's mind raced. If what Zerave was showing her was true, then this entire war was based on lies. Millions had died on both sides because a few power-hungry leaders had seized control. A noise from the hallway made them both freeze. Sarah quickly turned off the lights and drew her sidearm. Footsteps approached their room, then passed by. When they faded away, Sarah let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Too dangerous for you, Zerave said softly. Should leave me. Sarah shook her head. No, what you've shown me. People need to know the truth. Both humans and Arxians. She took Zerave's hand. We have to find a way to show them. Through their connection, Sarah felt a mix of hope and fear from the alien. Then Zerave shared one more memory of other Arxians who secretly opposed the war, waiting for a chance to resist. Not alone, Zerave said. Others like me want peace, but need help. Sarah looked out the window at the ruined city. Somewhere out there, her commanding officer, Colonel Harris, was getting suspicious of her absences. She knew she was running out of time. Then we'll help them, Sarah said firmly. But first, you need to eat something. She pulled out the fruit she had brought. Ever tried an apple before? Zerave's eyes widened at the red fruit. Through their mental link, Sarah felt her curiosity and excitement. It was such a simple thing, sharing food with someone. Yet as she watched Zerave take her first bite of the apple, Sarah realized how far they'd come from being enemies. As the night grew deeper, they began to plan. It would be dangerous. They would need proof, allies, and a way to spread the truth. But for the first time since the war began, Sarah felt real hope. Sometimes the greatest victories don't come from fighting, but from daring to understand those we're told to fear. Sarah's worst fears came true on a rainy Tuesday night. She was changing Zerave's bandages when her radio suddenly crackled to life. All units, this is Colonel Harris. Sweep the old medical center on 5th Street. We've detected unusual energy signatures. Possible alien presence. Shoot on sight. Sarah's heart stopped. They had found them. She looked at Zerave, who was already sitting up, her silver eyes wide with fear. They're coming, Sarah whispered, quickly gathering their essential supplies. We have to. The sound of boots on stairs cut her off. The patrol was already in the building. Sarah drew her pistol, mind racing. There were only 2 exits from this floor, and both would probably be covered soon. Zerave grabbed Sarah's arm. Trust me, she said, her voice stronger than it had been in days. The alien closed her eyes, and Sarah felt the familiar warmth of their mental connection grow stronger than ever before. Heavy footsteps approached their room. "Lieutenant Chen," a voice called out. "We know you're up here. Your vehicle was spotted." Sarah started to raise her weapon, but Zerevay's grip tightened. Through their link, she felt the alien's plan. It was risky, but it might be their only chance. The door burst open. 4 soldiers entered, rifles raised. Colonel Harris himself stood behind them. They looked straight at Sarah and Zerevay, but their eyes seemed unfocused, confused. "Clear," one soldier reported. "No one here." Sarah hardly dared to breathe. She could feel Zerevay trembling with effort beside her, using her empathic abilities to hide them both. The alien was making the patrol see an empty room. "Check again," Harris ordered. "The sensors say." "Sir," a voice called from downstairs. "Explosion at the spaceport. All units needed." Harris hesitated, looking around the room one last time. For a terrible moment, his eyes seemed to focus on them. Then he turned away. "Move out. We'll come back later." They waited until the footsteps faded completely. Zerevay collapsed against Sarah, exhausted. Purple blood had soaked through her bandages. She had pushed her healing body too far. "That was too close," Sarah said, quickly checking Zerevay's wounds. "How did you do that?" "Empaths can hide truth," Zerevay explained weakly. "Why military wants us. Not just for healing." She touched Sarah's face gently. "But never had someone to protect before. Makes power stronger." Sarah felt warmth spread through her chest that had nothing to do with their mental link. But there was no time for feelings now. "We can't stay here. They'll be back, and you're not strong enough to hide us again. Your career, your life," Zerevay said sadly, "all ruined because of me." Sarah shook her head. "No, ruined because I chose to do what's right." She helped Zerevay to her feet. "And I'd choose it again." Through their connection, feelings flowed between them. Worry, gratitude, and something deeper that neither of them dared to name yet. Sarah knew that after tonight, there was no going back. She would be marked as a traitor, hunted by her own people. "I know place," Zerevay said suddenly. "Other Arxians, who help peace. Hidden base, but dangerous journey." Sarah checked her weapon and supplies. Outside, sirens wailed as vehicles rushed toward the spaceport. The explosion, real or fake, had bought them some time. "Then we better get moving," Sarah said. She put her arm around Zerevay's waist, supporting her. Together. Zerevay's silver eyes met hers, and through their link came a surge of determination and trust. "Together," she agreed. As they slipped out into the rainy night, Sarah realized that sometimes the bravest thing isn't fighting for your side, but choosing to stop fighting at all. And sometimes you have to risk everything you have to protect what you found. The underground bunker was hidden beneath an old factory, 20 miles outside the city. Sarah and Zerevay had traveled for 3 days to reach it, hiding from both human and Arxian patrols. Now they stood before a heavy metal door, while Zerevay made a series of strange clicking sounds. A code. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah whispered. Her uniform was dirty, and she hadn't slept properly in days. Before Zerevay could answer, the door opened. 2 Arxians stepped out, one tall and warrior-like, the other small and delicate like Zerevay. Both carried weapons, but lowered them when they saw Zerevay. "Sister Healer," the smaller one said in perfect English. "We feared you dead." Then she noticed Sarah. "You bring human. Trust her," Zerevay said firmly. "She saved me. Shows not all humans want war, like not all Arxians want war." They were led inside. The bunker was larger than Sarah expected, filled with both Arxian and human technology. Most surprisingly, she saw other humans working alongside Arxians. An elderly human man approached them. "Lieutenant Chen, we've been hoping someone like you would find us." He held out his hand. Professor Adams, former Earth Defense Council member, before they pushed out everyone who opposed the war. Sarah shook his hand, stunned. There are more of us. More every day, he said. On both sides. We call ourselves the Bridge. He gestured around the room. Everyone here works for peace. We collect evidence of the lies that started this war. Through their mental link, Sarah felt Zoravey's excitement. The alien squeezed her hand. Show them what I showed you. Sarah nodded. Over the next hour, Zoravey shared her memories with the group's leaders, the truth about how the Arxian military had seized power, the lies they had spread about humans. This is exactly what we needed, Professor Adams said when she finished. But memories alone aren't enough. We need proof that both sides can trust. The command center, Sarah said suddenly. In New Shanghai. That's where they coordinate with the Arxian leadership. All the communications would be stored there. The tall Arxian warrior stepped forward, heavily guarded, both human and Arxian forces. But I still have my security clearance, Sarah pointed out. And Zoravey can hide us with her abilities. Too dangerous, Zoravey protested, touching Sarah's arm. Through their link, Sarah felt her fear, not for herself, but for Sarah. We have to try, Sarah said softly. How many more will die if we don't stop this war? Professor Adams studied them both. You'd need help, a team, and a way to broadcast the truth once you have it. We have people inside Earth's media networks, the small Arxian added, and our own communication channels. We can spread truth to both worlds at once. Plans were made quickly after that. A team was assembled, 2 humans and 2 Arxians, all with special skills needed for the mission. They would move in 3 days, when security would be lighter due to a planned offensive elsewhere. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She found Zoravey in the bunker's medical bay, organizing supplies. Scared, Sarah asked, though she could feel the answer through their link. Zoravey turned to her, not of danger, scared of failing, of losing. She touched Sarah's face gently. Through their connection flowed feelings too deep for words. Sarah pulled her close. We won't fail, and you won't lose me. Promise. Promise. As they held each other, Sarah realized that what had started as an act of mercy had grown into something that could change both their worlds. Love, she was learning, could be the most powerful weapon against hate, strong enough to bridge the gap between stars and species. They had 3 days to prepare for a mission that could end the war. But right now, in this moment, they had each other. And sometimes, that was enough to face whatever came next. The New Shanghai Command Center rose like a dark mountain against the night sky. Sarah, wearing her old military uniform, approached the main gate with practiced confidence. Behind her, invisible to the guards thanks to Zoravey's powers, walked the rest of their team. Lieutenant Chen, she said to the guard, presenting her ID. Here for the night shift. The guard checked his tablet. You're not on the roster. Colonel Harris's special assignment, Sarah said calmly, though her heart was racing. Check your urgent updates. While the guard was distracted by his tablet, Zoravey gently touched his mind, planting the memory of receiving that update. The guard blinked, then nodded. Of course, Lieutenant. Go ahead. They made it through 3 more checkpoints this way. Zoravey was getting tired. Sarah could feel it through their link. But they couldn't stop now. The control room was just 2 floors above them. Security cameras ahead, whispered Tom, one of their human team members. A former hacker, he pulled out a small device. Give me 30 seconds. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the building. But not because of them. Alert! Alert! Arxian forces approaching Sector 7. All personnel to battle stations. Sarah's team pressed against the wall as soldiers ran past them. Through their mental link, Zoravey sent a wave of panic. Not part of plan. Real attack. This way, said Carell, one of their Arxian teammates. No different path. They followed Carell through maintenance tunnels, emerging just one floor below the control room. But as they turned a corner, they found Colonel Harris waiting with a squad of soldiers. "I knew you'd come back," Harris said, pointing his weapon at Sarah. "Drop your weapons, all of you." Sarah felt Zerave preparing to use her powers, but she was too weak from maintaining their cover for so long. The strain could kill her. "Wait," Sarah said, both to Harris and through her linked to Zerave. She stepped forward, hands raised. "Colonel, you need to know the truth." "The truth," Harris laughed. "That you betray your species for an alien. That we've all been lied to," Sarah said firmly. "The Arxian military leadership created this war. They're lying to their people just like they're lying to us." "Prove it," Harris said. Sarah looked him in the eyes. "That's exactly what we're here to do. The evidence is in the control room. Real communications between Arxian leaders, proving they invented the threat from Earth." Harris hesitated. Sarah knew he was a good man. She had served under him for years. "Colonel, how many good soldiers have you lost in this war? How many more have to die for a lie?" Suddenly, explosions rocked the building. The real Arxian attack was getting closer. Harris looked at his squad, then back at Sarah. Through their mental link, Sarah felt Zerave's hope rising. "You have 10 minutes, Harris said finally, lowering his weapon. "Show me this proof." They rushed to the control room. Tom got to work on the computers while Corell translated the Arxian communications. Harris watched everything, his face growing darker as the truth became clear. "Sending it now," Tom said, "to every network, every channel, both human and Arxian." Through their link, Sarah felt Zerave's joy mixed with exhaustion. The alien stumbled, and Sarah caught her. "Time to go," Harris said. "I'll cover your escape." And he paused. "Thank you for showing us the truth." As they made their way out through the chaos of the attack, Sarah held Zerave close. They had done it. The truth was out. Now both worlds would know they had been fighting a war built on lies. "What happens now?" Zerave asked weakly as they reached safety. Sarah looked at the sky, where the first light of dawn was breaking. "Now we hope both sides choose peace, and if they don't," she squeezed Zerave's hand, "we keep fighting for it. Together." Through their mental connection, their hearts beat as one. In the middle of a war, they had found not just love, but a purpose bigger than themselves, and that was worth any risk. The days after the command center mission changed everything. Sarah and Zerave watched from the bridge's hidden bunker as their revelation shook both worlds. On every screen, the truth played out. The secret messages, the lies that had started the war, all of it. "Look," Tom said, pointing to one of the monitors. "The Arxian civilian stations are showing it too. They couldn't block it fast enough." Zerave squeezed Sarah's hand. Through their mental link, Sarah felt the aliens' mix of hope and worry. On the screens, they could see protests breaking out on both Earth and the Arxian homeworld. "More soldiers are refusing to fight," Professor Adams reported, entering the room with new data. 3 human battalions have stood down, and the Arxian peace movement. He smiled. "It's bigger than anyone knew. They were just waiting for proof like this." But not everyone wanted peace. The Arxian military leadership launched attacks on their own news stations, trying to stop the truth from spreading. On Earth, some generals claimed the evidence was fake. "They're desperate," Corell said, watching the reports. "Losing control." Sarah felt Zerave tense through their link. The aliens' silver eyes were fixed on a new message coming in. "What is it?" Sarah asked. "My people." Zerave's voice was thick with emotion. "The healing caste. They're rising up, refusing to serve military, using powers to protect protesters." The news kept coming. More soldiers laying down weapons, more people demanding peace. But the fighting wasn't over. Those who had started the war wouldn't give up easily. Then came the message they had been waiting for. The Earth Defense Council wanted to meet with the Arxian civilian leadership, Both sides were ignoring their military commanders, seeking peace on their own. "They want us there," Professor Adams said, looking at Sarah and Zerave, "as proof that humans and Arctians can work together, can care for each other." Sarah felt uncertainty through their mental link. She turned to Zerave. "We don't have to go. It could be dangerous." Zerave touched Sarah's face gently. In their shared thoughts, Sarah saw images of their journey, from that first moment in the crashed ship to now. "Started this together," Zerave said softly. "Finished together." The meeting was set for neutral ground, a space station between Earth and Arctian space. As their ship docked, Sarah held Zerave's hand tightly. Through their connection, they shared their strength. The station's main hall was filled with leaders from both worlds. When Sarah and Zerave entered, the room fell silent. "Tell us your story," the Earth Council leader said. So they did. Through words and through Zerave's empathic abilities, they shared their journey. The mercy that had led to understanding. The love that had grown between them. The truth they had discovered together. "We were taught to hate each other," Sarah said to the silent room. "To fear each other. But look at us." She gestured to everyone present. "We're not so different. We all want the same things. Peace, safety, a chance to live without fear." Zerave stepped forward. Her English was strong now, though she still kept her mental link with Sarah. "War based on lies. Peace based on truth. Choose peace." The room erupted in discussion. Through the day, agreements were made. The fighting would stop. Those who had started the war would face justice, and most importantly, both worlds would work together to rebuild. That evening, Sarah and Zerave stood by the station's window, watching both their worlds shine in the distance. "Did we really do it?" Sarah asked. "Did we really help end the war?" Zerave's answer came both in words and through their link, filled with love and pride. "We showed them way. Showed them love stronger than hate. Truth stronger than lies." Sarah pulled her close. Among the stars, two worlds that had been at war were choosing peace, and it had started with one simple choice: to help someone she had been told was her enemy. "What happens now?" Sarah asked softly. Through their connection, Zerave shared a vision of their future, together, helping both worlds heal and learn from each other. "Now," she said, "we build bridges." 1 year after the peace treaty, the gardens of New Shanghai were blooming again. Where ruins had stood, new buildings rose, some human, some Arctian, and many combining both styles. But today, all eyes were on the Central Park, where something special was happening. Sarah stood before a mirror, adjusting her dress uniform. Not the old military one, but the new Peace Force uniform that combined Earth and Arctian symbols. "Nervous?" Professor Adams asked, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Arctian people. "A little," Sarah admitted. Through her mental link with Zerave, she could feel that her partner was just as anxious in another room. Today would be the first official human Arctian wedding. Thousands would watch in person, and millions more would view it across both worlds. It was more than just a ceremony. It was a symbol of the new peace. The garden had been decorated with both earth flowers and glowing Arctian plants. The guests were a mix of both species: former soldiers who had laid down their weapons, civilians who had supported peace, and leaders from both worlds. Sarah saw Colonel Harris in the crowd. He had helped reshape Earth's military into a peacekeeping force. Next to him sat Carell and Tom, who had married 3 months ago in the second human Arctian ceremony. The music began, a beautiful blend of Earth and Arctian melodies. Sarah turned, and her heart stopped at the sight of Zerave. The Arctian wore traditional healer's robes in shimmering silver, but with earth flowers woven through her hair. Through their mental link, their joy mixed and multiplied, almost overwhelming them both. Professor Adams led the Earth part of the ceremony, while an Arctian elder performed their traditions. When they reached the mental bonding part, a special Arctian ceremony, Zerave took Sarah's hands. Their mental link, already strong, grew deeper. Sarah felt Zarave's memories of their journey, the moment they met in the crashed ship, their days hiding in the hospital, their fight for peace, and all the love that had grown between them. Sarah shared her own memories, the choice to show mercy, learning to trust, fighting for what was right, and falling in love despite all the odds. In Earth tradition, Professor Adams said, "Do you, Sarah Chen, take Zarave as your wife?" "I do," Sarah said clearly. In Arxian tradition, the elder spoke in English, "Do you, Zarave, accept Sarah Chen as your life bond?" "I do," Zarave said, her silver eyes shining. "Then by the laws of both worlds, and by the peace you helped create, we declare you married." Their kiss was broadcast across two worlds, not just a kiss, but a promise that love could bridge any distance, heal any wound, and bring hope even after war. At the celebration afterward, Sarah and Zarave greeted guests from both planets. Children, human and Arxian, played together in the garden. Former enemies shared drinks and stories. "Remember when you found me in that ship?" Zarave asked through their link. Her English was perfect now, but they still preferred their mental connection. Sarah smiled. "Best decision I ever made. Even though you didn't know what would happen. Sometimes the right choice is the one that seems impossible at the time." They danced under the stars, two people who had once been enemies, now symbols of something greater. Through their mental link, they shared their dreams for the future, helping both worlds grow together, teaching others what they had learned about love and understanding. "What happens next?" Sarah asked softly. Zarave's answer came in words and feelings, filled with love and hope. "We keep building bridges, keep showing others the way. And most importantly," she touched Sarah's face gently, "we live happily ever after." Sarah pulled her wife close as fireworks lit up the sky. Earth and Arxian styles mixing in beautiful patterns. Sometimes the greatest victories come not from fighting, but from daring to love. And sometimes the most powerful weapons against hate are mercy, truth, and the courage to see your enemy as a person who could become the love of your life.